Yes. Welcome back to the first episode of Let That Brew 2024. With our first guest in like 2 years. 2 years, you know. And, you know, this is a very special guest because it's my friend from a long time. You get me? She's like passionate about spirituality. She's engaged with, you know, becoming one with her inner. You know, and pushing the notion about working on self inside before outside type stuff. So again, this is a very unique episode because again, you're our first female, which is another, you know, like pivotal moment for Let That Brew. And you know, I'm gonna just let you take the floor from here. Introduce yourself, you know, tell people what you're about, and yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, first of all. And I'm Paige. Nice to be here. I have my own podcast also called Mindful of Soul, where I talk all things spirituality, the connection with psychology, the connections between our domestication, upbringing, social groups, experiences, childhood, how everything contributes towards our whole entire being, and how some things that may be considered in this realm, this dynamic of like mental health or whatever else, could in actuality be your spiritual awakening, of you awakening to your spiritual self within this experience. So that's what I'm very passionate about. I've also got a book that should be coming out this year called No One Is Coming to Save Me. Oh shit, then now what? And it's not necessarily a self-help book, but it's a guide to just realize that there is no one coming to save you. The only person that is going to save you is yourself. So yeah, I've definitely built my own platform, podcast, and integrated my own experience into building a brand for myself around that, around just all things spiritual and esoteric and all of those good things.
Esoteric, right? We got to get more into that because I don't know what that means. We'll get more into that though, but obviously that was a nice intro, by the way. That was real nice.
Straight off the dome. I didn't practice or rehearse anything.
No, but like it explained, like, you know me. It was very like had a lot of clarity. But obviously, you know, this Let That Brew. Mm-hmm. And so before we like get into the chatting, we're gonna like sip some tea. And the tea I got today is special. I feel like I thought about this one. Do you get it? So this tea now is from Harrods. It's called Feminine Balance. Yeah, Chica, I know you're like into your
the divine feminine.
All right then.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, you know, Paige is coming on. Let me get a tea that looks
sense.
like it makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
you get me?
That
so
makes sense.
It's the Harrods tea, Feminine Balance, and it's got a few ingredients in it. It's got hibiscus, ginger, apple pieces, rose hip. It's got chamomile, lemon balm, rose petals. It's got passion flower leaves.
Oh yes.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, this is.
It's got some lavender in it. Got cranberries, freeze-dried cranberries,
nice,
orange peel, and some like cherries. So like that's the Harrods Feminine Balance tea. You get it?
That is lovely.
Yeah, you want to balance? Yeah, we could bust the pack if you want. And
that can I?
Yeah,
can I just
obviously,
take
man, bust that, man. Respect that.
RealTalkRiddims.
Oh, it's mad, isn't it? That's for you, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh,
you gotta leave me like 1 or 2 bags.
Yeah, that's fine. Look at us exchanging teas today. Thank you. I appreciate you.
So yeah, this the Harrods Feminine Balance, and I ain't never tasted this. We're gonna taste this for the first time today.
It smells banging.
Yeah, it smells lit. I can't lie.
It smells banging.
We're gonna taste
Very
this,
fresh.
You know, and again, Paige is into a divine feminine, so I just thought that makes a lot of sense. You get me? So let me just get to the pouring, because that's been brewing. It's been about 5 minutes, you reckon?
Yeah,
so I brought it in there.
Yeah,
All right, cool. Let me get that pouring now. So yeah, man. So you saying though, what's been happening, man? How's life?
Well, life is lifing, as always, beautifully and divinely. You know, we're all exactly where we're supposed to be at all times. I know sometimes we can get so caught up in where we want to be and where we see ourselves being that we lose sight of the present moment. That is the most important moment, you know, just being more grounded and aware of self, really. and I'm not perfect. I have moments where I too get lost in the source of life, forget to be present and focus more on my wants, needs and desires rather than what I have, where I am. I have, you know, what I know, what I don't know.
Wants, needs and desires, you're right.
Yeah, so just navigating, trying to find balance. We speaking about it briefly, just saying like how I really am, which I love that you were able to see that and recognize that in me, that I do take a lot of time and space for myself. I'm very much in like my own world, especially like with parenthood, and I have 3 children of different ages. So I can sometimes get so just caught up in day-to-day mundane, you know, tasks of life that I don't have the space and time for myself. But I'm definitely getting to a space now where I'm prioritizing my overall well-being. I feel like I did it prior more so to be more present, not to sound selfish, but more present for my children and everybody else. Whereas now I'm in a space where what does Paige want to do? What's Paige about? Like, what's important to me? And just the throat chakra, just speaking up and just honoring myself, you know, and just taking space for myself. So it's wonderful when the people that you love and care about and that you're friends, and that they can recognize that within you, and they can see that you enjoy being in your own space, your own world. They don't take it personal. They don't think that you're trying to create distance or anything like that. So yeah, just navigating through life and just understanding like who is around me is supposed to be around me. I'm all about being seen, and I want to see those around me. And I was saying it to you earlier that I've been in this hermit stage, this hermit energy, that I'm ready to just come out of that as well, and just like socialize with my people and connect with my people, because again, you just get so caught up in like your healing and taking time for self or whatever the case may be, that you forget sometimes about yourself, but also those around you that love and care about you and want to see you and hold space with you and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I'm just...
Oh, you're right, still. People want to see you, get me? Yeah, man, you can't be out here hiding forever. Not you, I'm just saying in general, innit?
No, for real, but I feel like I'm definitely one of those people that I don't necessarily hide, but I do hide myself from the world because, yeah, just mindful of the energy. But then if you believe that you are, like I say to my people, like I believe that I am a sacred divine feminine, protected, guided and aligned at all times. So that is what I need to embody and be in. Can't be, oh, I don't want to go there because the energy, the vibration. No, if you trust and believe and you know within yourself that you're safe, protected, guided and aligned, yeah, you need to be in that energy wherever you go. So that's what I'm integrating.
All right. We're gonna get more into the femininity though. Don't worry, 100%, because I got a few things on. Wow, you get me? But like, obviously, first, let's just get into tasting that tea.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, let's get into tasting that tea there. Yeah, man. This is the Harrods. RealTalkRiddims. I'm saying again, I don't know how strong. Because in a teapot and it's not loose leaf, it's like feminine balance. It's like, I don't know how strong or how whatever it's gonna be. My one looks a bit watery, I can't lie, but I'll make sure yours is yeah, let's cheers. I don't know if I meant to cheers. Oh yeah, eye to eye, say Latin. Alright, cheers, man. Let that brew, man. Oh. Bit strong, don't you think? What do you think? You like it?
I love that.
You actually?
Yeah, of course.
What do you think? What are you getting? What's it giving?
You can taste the orange. Is there orange in there? Yeah.
The orange peel, 100%.
Hibiscus is banging. That's a cultural thing.
Yeah, that's the main
like,
ingredient. The hibiscus is strong in that.
I enjoy that. Yeah, I like that. I could eat that. I could drink that. Yeah, that's nice. I'm into teas anyway, so.
Like for me, that tea there, I would have to. It's like a once in a blue type, not in a blue, but when you feel like it's for a different flavor.
I would have that when I'm probably pre-menstrual. I would have that when just before I'm due my menses. That's something that would help ground, something that would help embody and probably balance out the feminine energy, because the ingredients that are in that are very entwined with it. It's giving feminine, like the hibiscus, the red, the pink, the colors. It makes you feel, this is lovely. Like I'd have this, sitting in the bath, maybe a little something to hold you with a nice little tea. if you're doing like a little sip and paint with your soul sisters, it's that type of vibe. It's nice. It's lovely. No, and I enjoy teas, and you know, teas are very vital to our way of life.
Facts. That's a good tea store.
I was just about to say, check the ingredients.
There's ginger. I can't really tell you.
Lemongrass.
Lemon balm.
Lemon balm. Okay, cool.
Again, I feel like that's like it should be a bit pasty, the lemon balm, innit? There's lavender, obviously. Cranberries. The apple. I can't really taste too much of the apple, but I could definitely taste. I feel like you can, there's a lot of mixture in there, and you can taste a bit of everything secretly.
You can.
The cranberry, like the bitterness is probably from the cranberries and the hibiscus, you get? Like, yeah.
The orange peel and apple?
Yeah, orange peel and apple, yeah. Ah, man. Cool,
yeah, that's lovely. I like that, yeah. Yeah, I would definitely drink that again. It's nice. It's lovely.
So anyways, let's get into something. First of all, I want to just ask you about your podcast and that, innit? Let's get into that. Let's get into the business first, and then we start diving into like, you know, other things. So basically, just explain like your podcast, innit? What's it about? How do you come about it? Like, you know, like what made you want to dive into it, type shit, innit? So like, you got a podcast called Mindful of Soul, which
Mindful
is
of Soul.
It's a play on type of words, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
to
like,
be mindful of one's soul. Yeah, to be mindful of soul. So throughout all my years of life, I've always been into psychology and people's behaviors, and how our life experiences contribute towards our way of being. Along the way of life, like just evolving, I've also been very drawn to the spiritual way of being. I was raised religious, Roman Catholic, but I always challenged, I always asked questions. I was always just inquisitive, like to know more. I just felt like there was things being hid from me. I didn't feel like that was, you know, some people feel satisfaction in religion. I didn't ever. I always felt restless. I always felt like there was more to life. So as I, you know, got older, I'd always taken time to hold space for myself. Like looking back, I'd always been doing this work. I'd always been having journals and diaries and speaking about my experience. And I spent a lot of my childhood years in therapy. I started counselling when I was 11, and I finished counselling when I was about 29. So I always had this insight into how to express myself and the emotions and feelings I was feeling. However, I still felt like there was something missing. So I had an idea for a podcast, because prior to a podcast, I did have a blog where I would share my thoughts and whatever else, but it was just about regular life. I didn't really make it personal to me. And I had an idea to do a podcast, and at the time I mentioned it to, at the time, a friend, and the podcast was wonderful. It was going well, but again, there was something missing. I wasn't really expressing myself too much. And I want to say probably during like 2020, when it was the reset, when everyone was just, you know, at home chilling and whatever else, I really began to delve deeper into my spirituality. So much so that I started spiritual healing. I started seeing a spiritual healer and started delving into ancestral.
You say spiritual healer, how does that go?
So if you're familiar with like a therapist and counsellor from like the NHS, or just a regular mental health contribution that is helping you maneuver through your mental health, because we all have mental health, by the way. I think sometimes when people hear mental health, they think crazy, mad, but mental health is just as important as physical health and dental health. Like, it's just the health of the mind. So I'd already done that, but again, I just didn't feel satisfaction. So the spiritual healer guided me through more in-depth work, which was inner child. So that's things that occurred within your childhood, your domestication, any traumas, anything that happened, ancestral work, anything within your bloodline that's happened ancestrally that gets carried on, because, you know, everything is in the blood, in the DNA, energy gets passed down. And also just doing overall healing, but from a spiritual standpoint, as in meditations, holding space, journaling, being very raw, authentic, and maneuvering through these said experiences, you know, like without having to, like, you know, I compare it to when I did counselling and therapy, because I would go to the counsellor, she'd ask me a few things and then I would say some stuff and then I would leave and just be like, oh, I'm glad I said that. Whereas with spiritual healing, it's almost just like you're going to the root of the issue. You're going to the deep down to the root and you're uprooting it to the point you're healing. So you've come out of that cycle of recognizing that this is something that is detrimental to me and it's not, I don't like the way it's making me feel. And the spiritual healing is just essentially healing you on a spiritual level, not just the mind. It's more of the soul.
How does one like go about finding this type of healer in case people want to attack?
So my spiritual healer no longer practices actually at the moment, but there are other people around that I could potentially put people in the right direction. But I would say you would have to trust your instincts, your intuition. You will be guided to somebody, you know, and I'm grateful that the person that I was aligned to, I met them before the whole reset of 2020, because I feel like that's when a lot of people were trying to profit off the spiritual community.
Oh yeah.
So there was a lot of people that were pretending to be, I'll help you with your shadow work and inner child healing, and they're not doing none of that. They just want to make money. They're charging ridiculous amounts of money, and that's another thing. You would never have to pay X amount of money for spiritual healing. Like, it's ridiculous. So again, just intuition, trust your instincts, and spiritual healing can even be, you know, when there's, and I say it like with love, but you know, when we was growing up, there's always that one person in the ends that's eccentric. You know, when you walk around and there's always somebody that you see all the time, they're very eccentric, but if you stop and talk to them, they're dropping gems. Yeah. If you ever see somebody like that just in your area, or somebody in the coffee shop, or somebody who's just different, but the way they're talking to you is in a way that is hitting you on that's spiritual healing. You know, it's just about having the awareness that yes, this is the human experience, but you're also a spiritual being. So I would say use your discernment and your intuition and instincts. There's a lot of people available online nowadays, but like I said, some people just do it for profit, but others are genuinely really here to help you. And it's deeper than just like singing bowls and sound bowls and incense and all of these things. Like, you really have to do the work. You really need to show up, and it really is confronting, and it really is, you will feel more out of place than you probably felt before, but the end goal is so liberating. It's so freeing.
Thing is, when people say you gotta do the work, obviously I feel like I know what I'm talking about, but to you, like, what's doing the work? Because again, you know, like, obviously discipline is a massive part of it, isn't it? So like, what's doing the work? You get it, like, you say you gotta do the work, because you hear that a lot. Oh, you really gotta do the work.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Like, what though? What's the work?
So essentially, doing the work, a majority of people, if they've realized, like, had the awareness of self, you've been doing the work your whole life. So doing the work consists of being aware of self, being aware of your behaviors, your thought patterns, your intentions, your energy, the way that you behave, being aware of how you interact with others, how others interact with you, how things make you feel. So doing the work essentially is just being aware. It's about having a level of awareness of who you are, because the whole spiritual journey is just self-awareness of who you are, who you're not, who you want to be, because we're constantly evolving. Who you was last year probably isn't who you are today, and who you were 10 years ago definitely probably isn't who you are today.
That's a fact.
Do you know what I'm saying? But you've been doing the work. But if I hadn't said to you, doing the work, you would have been like, what? But looking back 10 years, I'm sure there's things that have evolved for you. For instance,
1,000,000%.
Yeah, so like doing the work, for instance, your diet, things that you chose to eat when you was a teenager that you've carried into your 20s, and then now by the time you're like in your late 20s, 30s, you're like, oh, I want to stay away from that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to do. That's you doing the work. You're realizing, you're becoming aware of self on a spiritual level. You know, I think when people hear the term doing the work, they probably feel a bit scared, because they think work. You hear the term work and you think, oh my gosh, strenuous. I'm not trying to do that. I'm already tired. I need a nap. But really and truly, we've all been doing the work, because we're just evolving, you know, and we get to a space where we've done the work there to get here, and then now we're going to do the work from here to get to there, you know. So everyone's work looks different, but everyone is doing it. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're still doing the work. Some people are doing the work to stay where they are, and some are doing the work to evolve, you know, but either way, the work is still getting done.
So essentially, yeah. So you started a podcast. Just to again, for what I took from it is that to obviously not express, but to throw out what you've learned.
Have a space. Yeah.
Like put what you've learned out there, and you know, and feel comfortable as well doing it, innit? Because obviously it's hard for some people. They got things or they got thoughts, and I feel like people will think more results, innit? Like, oh, it's not, no one's gonna see it, blah blah. Rather than that in itself is doing work. I think. You thought of something, you did it, you want to do it, you just do it, and you're being like hella vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable to people you don't know.
Absolutely.
Like, in
absolutely. And that for me was important because I feel I had not expressed myself fully because I'd been so mindful of how I would be perceived by people or received or rejected or not understood. And that is not my concern because that's something that is external to me. The inner world is what matters. And something that was really important for me was that I wanted to share my journey with people. I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted to have this side of me that felt so much discomfort in being vulnerable and talking about things that I'd never spoken to even my closest people about, but creating this safe space for me. And I say that on my podcast in one of my intros, I think maybe my first episode, that my podcast is my journal. This is my journal where I'm sharing just my experience. I'm not here to dictate to anyone what you should and shouldn't be doing or how you should be living your life. Whatever resonates. But for me, this is my space where I can just go onto my podcast and just hold space for myself and just converse about the things that are important to me. And it's evolved into something now where I'm like, this is a passion of mine. I've always felt drawn to help people. I don't consider myself an empath because it's not an identity. I can be empathic for people, but I'm not an empath like solely. Because you have to have a boundary with that. It's just impossible. Facts. You can't just be holding on and feeling everything. It will drown you. But I wanted to be able to connect with people who felt that too, that they wanted to put themselves out there, but they didn't know how to necessarily go about doing it. So having Mindful of Soul it's almost like it's so many things for me. Like my podcast is not just a podcast. It's like it was a milestone for me, you know, to be able to say to myself that, wow, well done. Like all the work you've been doing all these years, you've been, you know, going to a therapist in an office where nobody knows that it's a therapist office. You step outside, nobody knows you've been doing this work. And now you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable, to be open, to be truthful, activating your throat chakra. And you've created a space for yourself, you know, and I say that to myself all the time, like, you've done this, like, this is you. So Mindful of Soul is very, very important to me. And like I was saying previous, I had another podcast with a friend at the time, and our energies were very different because I was very much into everything spiritual and whatever else, and the person wasn't. So again, I felt a bit stifled. I felt a bit like I want to have my own thing, you know. You just have to branch out, and it's unfortunate the way that came to an end because it resulted in us no longer being friends. But it's part of life. Like, you live, you learn. Not everyone is in your life for a lifetime. Some things are reason or season. But I'm grateful that did come to an end, because that came to an end of May 2021. By June 2021, I had Mindful of Soul. A month later, and I didn't stop. I wasn't like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I said, no, this is my opportunity to do what I need to do for self. And then that's where I came up with Mindful of Soul. And then I've just been running ever since. I'm on season 3 now. So yeah, and then I wrote my book also, which is called No One Is Coming to Save Me. Oh shit, then now what? And that book coincides with my podcast of...
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that way. I wanted to get into that way. When I get into that way, hold on, let me just get into something.
Yeah.
First of all, like, Mindful of Soul, I like that, innit?
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's the play on word. It's meaning being mindful of your soul, and obviously you got a mind full of soul, innit?
Yes.
Like, so that's that. I like that name. But before you get into the book, innit? Yeah, let's talk about the cards and that.
Okay,
yes. The cards, innit?
Okay, cool. So with Mindful of Soul, I have my podcast, and I also have a website called Mindful of Soul. My Mindful of Soul is my handle on everything.
What is it though? Fully?
So my website consists...
No, say the website.
Oh, my website is mindfulofsoullimited.com.
Right.
Yeah, so mindfulofsoulllimited.com is my website, and my handle for like Instagram, TikTok, Mindful of Soul. So with Mindful of Soul...
That's full with one L.
Yes, with one L.
Cool.
Yeah, and all one word, Mindful of Soul.
Yeah, I'll put it up anyway.
I was going to say, trust that you leave it in your bio. So with the podcast, and again, having this safe space for myself to just express, that encouraged me to then write my book, which has probably been in the making for the past however many years of my life, really, essentially, because it brings me to where I am now, where I was then. And also along the lines, I was then able to recognize through doing spiritual work, spiritual healing, my inner child and the things that were important to me when I was a child that I probably didn't have. Which I essentially didn't have, which resulted in certain traumas and whatever else. So I created affirmation cards for children, because it's not something that I had seen on the market. There's affirmation cards and tarot cards and oracle cards for adults, and I wouldn't necessarily introduce tarot cards to my children anyway, but I wanted something for my children, where they can go and hold these cards, pull a card on days where I probably wasn't able to show up for them, or days where they was feeling vulnerable or feeling a type of way and they didn't know how to express it. So the affirmation cards, the kids edition, are just lovely, beautiful cards. I should have brought some today, actually.
I thought you would have.
I completely forgot. I completely forgot. So the affirmation cards are just literally just like little sayings designed for the kids, like I am powerful, I am amazing, I am kind, I'm beautiful, I can do anything that I put my mind to. So it's just affirming for the kids, because I think it's essential that children need that. And I think a lot of the time when people hear the spiritual journey or spiritual community, that they forget that we sometimes get so immersed in our journey that we feel triggered. Our inner child feels triggered, and it's very hard when you have children to try and show up for them, especially if you're a single mum or you're in a relationship where your partner isn't at that level yet. You want to create safe spaces for everyone to just be. So
what do you mean by you feeling triggered though? Like,
so I speak about this on my podcast, that having children for me was very confrontational. I was a teenage mum. I had my first child when I was 17. And I always say that I was a baby, an absolute baby, which I was. Wouldn't change my child for the world, absolutely not. But along the years of having my children, I've got 3 children that I've had 5 years apart. So I had my first, and then 5 years later I had my second, 5 years later I had my third. And at each stage, I've been in a different evolution of self. So when I had my son, my first child, I was a child myself. So I'm just trying to navigate and maneuver through life of like, how do I have the responsibility of a child when I'm a child myself? By the time I had my second child, which was my firstborn daughter, that triggered so much dormant trauma for me that I didn't even know was there. And I tried my best to maneuver through that. I struggled immensely with postpartum psychosis.
Just break that down, because again, that's new to me.
So postpartum psychosis is you have postnatal depression.
Okay. Yeah.
So the depression is just feeling unmotivated.
That's after you have.
That's the baby. After you have the baby. Yeah. Some people feel it towards the child. Some feel it towards themselves. For me, it was towards myself. The psychosis was a real separation of reality. I couldn't grasp that this young girl, this baby, my daughter, who I'd just given birth to, who essentially was a divine reflection of me, because I'm looking at her and I can see myself. I just couldn't grasp that the things I had endured as a young girl, that looking at this little girl, like how could you let things like that happen? So I struggled. Psychosis meaning separation from the reality of life, of no, Paige, this is your baby, she's protected, she's safe, you're aware, you wouldn't do half the things that happened to you. But then having your personal experience with your inner child who's still traumatized, who hasn't maneuvered through these feelings, triggered so much for me, brought up so much so that I became psychosis. I had psychosis, so I just couldn't grasp just the reality. I was just like, it would be better if I just wasn't here. I just need to just disappear, because I was in a lot of fear. I panicked a lot. I felt like I would be my parents to her. So many things I had to maneuver through, which contributed towards me doing the work on self. Like I still went to therapy, I maintained counseling, I did whatever I had to do. Again, dissatisfaction. I was like, there's something missing, you know? And that's when I also delved into spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, I explored all types of things, changing my diet, and that's all just from having just that one child. So she's really the catalyst for my journey, because having a daughter was a divine reflection for me. And she's encouraged me to be so vulnerable and so truthful with myself and my experience.
So that was like the pivot point.
The pivot point for me, yeah. And I was only 23 at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very intense time for me. And then by the time I had my third child, I was more clued up and I was aware of things. So I knew the things I would do differently, you know. And then my youngest, my third child being the age that she is now, makes sense that I am where I am now, if that makes sense. So did I answer your question?
So no, I was just saying, so basically,
so the affirmation cards.
Yeah, the cards.
Yeah.
No,
So
but it's cool though.
So the affirmation cards, yeah. So all of these moments where in my parenthood I'm struggling with my psychosis. So essentially I'm not emotionally available for my children, because I'm not emotionally available for myself, because I'm so overwhelmed, so overstimulated. I'm struggling. It was a whole heap of things that I speak about on my podcast. I remember for myself, when I came out of my spiritual healing around about 2021, remembering when I'd completed my inner child, thinking, I remember now what it must have felt like for my children to witness that and go through that. What something that they could have to make sure that they don't feel like it's them. Because you know, a child believes that everything that is happening in the world is because of them, and they think it's their fault, it's because of them. So the last thing I wanted my children to do was ever feel like they was to blame. But being out of that and being in a space to be like, well, what could I have gave them? That's what encouraged me and brought me to create affirmation cards for children, because of course my children are not the only children to go through this or experience their mum dealing with her mental health and then transitioning, not even transitioning, but then her spiritual awakening and then becoming aware of herself spiritually. There's plenty of children that go through that. Plus there's plenty of children whose parents are not spiritual, that are dealing with mental health issues or whatever the case may be. Plus on top of that, there's parents that are just not available for their kids emotionally, mentally or spiritually. So I felt very called to create the affirmation cards for the children, because I think it's very important for them to just have just a divine daily reminder that they are loved, that they are safe, that they're guided, that they're aligned, and that everything that is happening in life is happening for a divine reason, you know, and it's not their fault. And they are amazing and beautiful, regardless of what adults or peers are in their life or what is happening. Because I think when you're a child, again, you believe that if you come home from school one day and your favorite thing isn't there, it's the end of the world, you know? So I think it's important to have these grounding moments for the children. So yeah, I felt cool to do the affirmation cards, and I also do adult versions, but I wanted to bring the kids out first because I was inspired by my own children and their experience.
So wait, you can get that on the website?
You can get that on the website. It's available to purchase. Lit. Yeah.
When you did that, I was like, yeah, my G, you know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I respect it still.
Yeah, I designed them all myself. Yeah. They're all me with the help of my children. Like, they would give me the okay. I said, do you like this? Do you like this color? Do you like this font? What do you think about this saying? And then, yeah. So yeah, inspired.
So do they use them as well?
Yeah, they do. Yep. Yeah, they use them. Mm-hmm.
That's proper. So like, get that on mindfulofsoullimited.com.
Yeah, that's my website.
All right, cool. So talk to me about this book now. Why go on for this book?
Yeah, so
That's what I like, though. Yeah, writers.
Yeah.
Intellect.
I'm very passionate about writing.
I want to write and feed the people them knowledge and information. So yeah, let's go on, talk about it.
So I'd been asked a few times over my years if I would ever write a book, because I had been so vocal in the importance of doing the work. Before I delved into my spirituality, I'd been asked numerous of times, and I was like, no, I'm not trying to have like a, you know, like The Alchemist or The New Earth or Women Who Run with Wolves. I was like, nah, I feel like it's already been done.
These are all books you've read.
These are all books I've read, yeah. And I was just like, nah, like I don't think I could do that. And then, like I said, I created the podcast, and I had the podcast, and then I just felt so called, like very inspired. Like when I say called, it's almost like a clairaudient moment. It's like when you can hear spirit or your ancestors, that you hear it like, you need to write a book. And I remember one day I was in the middle of doing like some coursework, and again, that was all around psychology. I'm doing some coursework, and I was just like, nah, I need to come off that. There's something I need to get out. I don't want to say it on my podcast. I don't want to go to Insta, but it's something I need to get out. I just started typing. I started writing, and I have incorporated the book with the podcast season 1, season 2. So if you listen to my podcast, the first episodes of season 1, you understand what it's about. But then when you read the book, it's just more of an in-depth, insightful, more in depth, I would say. So yeah, I felt inspired to write the book, and then I didn't know what I was going to call it. I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I was also very mindful when I was writing the book, because again, I didn't want to be somebody who I wasn't. This imposter syndrome, this glamour magic. It's glamour magic as well when you try and make yourself something that you're not. I was just like, these are things that you work through. This is doing the work as well. So I was just like, when I was writing the book, I was like, trying to be very articulate and write in a way, which I'm articulate anyway, but I was like, girl, you're from Hammersmith. Like, I'm not from the hood, but I'm from the hood. Do you know what I mean? It's not the hood, but do you know what I'm saying? I don't talk like that. Yeah. I do say things like girl or please believe or whatever the case may be. So doing the book helped me connect back to myself and just my authentic self. Having, they speak on having self-love, love being the highest vibration. Authentic, unconditional love is the highest vibration. Loving yourself is one thing, but being able... Do
you think there's such thing as unconditional love, though?
I think that
because I don't think there is. I think every love's got a condition. Like, again, you can love someone, but it's like, bro, if you do something that's so up to them, they will stop. That's the condition. I'll love you as long as you don't do this one thing that you don't know. Yeah, that's gonna make me feel like I don't love you no more. Yeah,
but those conditions are there to be worked through, because the goal is essentially to be in unconditional love, because none of us are perfect, and we're all just figuring out life. We're all just trying to maneuver. Do you know what I'm saying? So of course, there's gonna be times where people will do some things to you and make you feel a way. But essentially, you still need to remember that they are in their own experience. They are only doing what they know to do within their capacity, because that's where they are. It's nothing personal to us as the individuals, But yeah, I would say that takes true mastery to embody unconditional love. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, to embody unconditional love, because I think even for your children, to an extent, they say that we have unconditional love for our children, which I think we do to an extent, but for the most part, we're here to nurture, guide, and install discipline and morals, standards, integrity. These are conditional things. We're conditioning our children. So I think that's a next level of spirituality to get to be in unconditional love. But to go back to what you were saying, the book again was just my opportunity to be authentic with myself and be unconditional with myself in those moments. To not have conditions to say, okay, I don't want to type like this and write these words out. I don't want to say it like that, because people might think it's not my business.
I think that's how you should, like, especially if it's like you're not writing like fiction. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Wait, which one is what? Fake.
Yeah.
So you're not writing non-fiction, innit? Writing like factual stuff. Do you get it?
No, fiction is fake.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you're
Sorry, fiction is fake. Yeah, non-fiction is non-fiction.
That's real, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're writing non-fiction. Do you get it? So I feel like you shouldn't have there should be no bars.
No facade, no ceiling. You just
whereas fiction now it's like a blueprint. Certain things you got to do. It's a bit.
You got
more,
facades, facades.
Yeah, it's a bit more regimented. Like non-fiction, I feel like it's free for all, right? How you want it.
Of course.
So carry on. Sorry.
But then when you're aware of self and mindful in those moments, because I hadn't ever written a book before. I haven't wrote a book. It hadn't been anything that I'd ever done. I'd journaled, I'd done this and had a podcast, and I do all of these things. But writing a book and putting yourself on paper, your experience, that's going to go out to the masses forever. That may be a book that they read in PSHE or some, like, who knows? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So again, these moments, even when I'm writing the book, these are teachable moments. This is me doing the work, because what is coming up for me? What am I aware of in this dynamic that I'm in now, that I'm becoming an author, that I'm stepping into the world of publishing? What is coming up for me, So what work am I doing? I'm working through having unconditional love for myself in these moments. I'm working through being authentic with myself. I'm working through not being fixated on the outside world, but only the internal. These are things that I did the work. And
is the book finished?
The book is essentially finished. Yeah.
And you're like happy with it, yeah?
I am, yeah. Yeah, I am.
When you looking to push it?
I would like to put it out this year. I wanted to do it all independently.
What does that mean? Because I never really know about the book process when you say independent.
So do it independently is that you pay for your own publishing. You're doing it all yourself. Your own money, your own investing. You do it. Everything is all you.
The publishers will normally sort it out for you.
If you was to present it to a publisher, if they felt like it was something that they would probably want to offer you, like a publishing deal, that you could probably have that, or maybe a distribution deal where they would distribute it for you and publish it for you, but then with like, you'd have to pay it back from your royalties or whatever else. So I'm in a space now where I'm open to pitch it to publishing houses. Whereas before I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep it very to myself. And this hyper independence, this is a lot of things that were coming up for me whilst I was doing the work of I'm going to do this and I'm going to do and it's just like, yeah, but sometimes you need to reach out to people and you need to have helping hands. People are there to help.
Facts.
But when you become so just warped, sometimes you just have your guard up, you know? And again, like I said prior, if I believe that I'm a divine feminine, I'm safe, protected, guided and aligned, I need to embody that and trust and know and believe that I'm going to align to people that will support and help me. So yeah, I'm very much in a space now where I'm open to speak to publishing houses and see if they want to offer me a publishing deal or distribution deal or something. If they don't, they don't. I'm all up for rejection. Rejection is just redirection. So
straight.
I'm not tripping.
So you said you started writing without the name. Like, you got a name now?
Yeah. So the name of my book is called No One Is Coming to Save Me.
Oh yeah. You said that.
And at the end it says, "Oh shit, then now what?"
Oh shit, then.
Yeah. Oh shit, then now what? Like, what do you mean no one's coming to save me, bruv? What happens now then? What am I supposed to do if no one's coming? It's like no one is coming. I think that I got that from just my overall experience as I'm writing the book and I'm doing the work and things are coming up for me. When I spent a lot of my years in therapy and counselling with the NHS, I just always had this savior complex. It felt like this person is going to save me. I'm going to go here, offload how I feel, and this person's going to give me all these things to do, and that's going to save me. This savior complex, this somebody else is going to come here and sort this all out. Like, how awkward would that be if somebody really was going to come in and be like, I'm here to save you, but my God, girl, you look a mess. Or, you know, I'd feel a type of way. So I delved into what that is. What is this of somebody is coming? I think it also came from my indoctrination of religion from childhood, of just praising something.
I like that you say indoctrination.
Yeah, of course, because it is essentially, and it delved into what had been ingrained in us of like, you pray to somebody outside of you, you trust and believe that they will sort it for you. Everyone will say, Jesus, take the wheel, and you know, I'll leave it in God's hands. It's like, no, it's your hands. It's you that's doing the work. It's you that's here, you know? And again, I really had to delve into that and really work through that, because I think the realization of having to be accountable and responsible for yourself, for your own healing and evolving, some people is daunting, because I feel like sometimes we are fixated on this savior complex, that we feel like somebody else is going to come and they have the answers. They can do the work for us and they can show up for us, and all we need to do is follow them. But the only person that's coming to save you is your healed self. Yourself, you know? So that's why the book is called No One Is Coming to Save Me. Oh shit, then now what? And then in the book I'll say, no one is, but you are, because it's you that's here.
You got Mindful of Soul, the podcast. You got the kids affirmation cards, and the book coming. Obviously the book work in progress, but like 90% done type shit. So like, that's the business side of everything, innit? Now I want to ask you, like, let's get more like into like you and the spirituality type of things. Now earlier I heard you mention saying in like 2021, you said the inner child, like when the work was done. So you think that you're healed? You think you're done?
No, not fully. No. Maybe on that section of inner child healing, I would say.
Wait. Just
okay, go on. Yeah.
All right. So on that section, so how do you how does one know that I'm good there now? Like, how do you know? What's
so everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
You have to practice discernment within yourself. So you know, okay, cool, I've worked through that, and now I'm on to this stage of my life. So I knew that I had completed a certain level of my healing when it came to inner child, when I just vibrated in a different frequency. My relationship became different with my children. I became more present. In moments I became more calm. And then I noticed that other things needed to be worked through because of how I was then after that, if that makes sense. Other things of just feeling, what was something that was impatience. I just felt like, oh my God, irritated. Or I would feel, for me, this is when I knew I'd done, when I say like inner child healing is from your childhood, like throughout all your years, from when you're consciously aware, however young that is for you. Some people remember things from when they was 1, when they was 2, when they was 3, when they was 4. I would say that the beginning stages of my inner child healing were from, let's say, about 3, 4, up until I was about 9 or 10. The years of 11 up until probably just before I had my child, like 16, 17, rage, full-blown rage. I was able to recognize that I felt this immense anger, this immense, just, I wanted to turn into I wanted to combust, turn into
wouldn't you say that's just, like you said, from 11 to 16, 17, but ain't that just normal, adolescence?
Well, these are pivotal moments of childhood, because this is where certain parts of your brain are developing, certain things you're experiencing, puberty, shifts in peer groups, you transition from primary school to secondary school. When you're around different people from different backgrounds, different experiences, you then analyze your life differently. So I remember being in primary school thinking I was the only one in the world going through what I was going through, and I never thought I was going through anything. Let me just be clear. I just thought this was just regular life. I didn't think anything of it. It wasn't until I got to secondary school, so 11, 12, and by the time we were in like year 8, year 9, I'd probably prior to that, and then we're speaking about our lives and our households, and I remember hearing stories from my friends and just having immense anxiety, having immense panic, and the way that they was describing it, I was just like, what do you mean that's abuse? I don't understand. Or what do you mean like your mum hates you? Or what do you mean? Like, I didn't understand.
You couldn't relate, basically.
I couldn't relate because I hadn't had that type of verbal language used. I had, this is discipline. You're having this because you deserve it. Remember when you did X, Y, and Z? I didn't like that, so that's why I'm doing this. So to me, I just believe that I just grew up with a strict Jamaican dad, an aggressive Irish mom, and I just thought this was just regular. Like, I just thought this was normal, And then again,
you think like beats and that, you think that's abuse?
For every each to their own. But I can say for me, what I experienced in my household, there was a clear boundary cross of discipline.
I feel like, again, like you said, where the boundaries at, because
everyone's different.
Yeah, if I was to say certain things or like happen, some people be like, oh my God. And then you say certain things to other people, they'll be like, get it?
But I think, but I think within our culture, we very much try to downplay abuse because we don't believe that it's abusive, because it's been so indoctrinated within our culture and this is ancestral work. This is ancestral trauma that we've endured, that we've normalized beats as just being a regular thing that we just get. But when you really check it and break it down, why would an adult who's in control of their feelings and emotions come out of themselves to put hands on a child when a child is just learning? Child is trying to maneuver through life. And one of the core forms of discipline is physical violence. To draw for things, to do X, Y, and Z. I think there's a lot of ancestral cultural healing that we need to do as a people.
I like the way you put that. That's kind of mad, True, you're an adult in control of yourself.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Because you would know for yourself, if like now I'm an adult, I'm a parent, and there's moments where I want to lose my shit, and there are moments where I do lose my shit, but I'm still in control.
Yeah, and that that just points out that a lot of adults aren't actually in control then.
Absolutely. Because majority of adults are traumatized, and majority of adults will be like, well, if I had it, you're gonna have it, and if I don't know how to maneuver through it, what makes you think I can tell you? Do you understand? So it becomes a generational thing, and we just pass it down, and we just normalize the type of behavior. So that's why I would say for me, because again, I've spoken to people within our culture and our lifestyle, whatever the case may be, and they would describe their upbringing as just normal, regular. Yeah, we got beats, and then the minute they delve into like spiritual work, ancestral healing, they'll come out of that like, no, bro, I didn't deserve to be treated like that. I didn't deserve that. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's for not just for our culture, like the Caribbean, West Indian culture, for majority of cultures as well. Because again, like I said, my mum is Irish. My mum is of Irish descent, and that was my nan is very aggressive You know, she wasn't beating her kids, but she didn't take no shit, you know? So I grew up around this type of energy constantly, to the point it unnerved me. It shattered my nervous system. I'm not able to relax. I'm not able to be present. I'm not able to just be a child. I'm having to fight or flight constantly, and it's affecting me on a cellular level, to the point where I then had children and felt triggered by that child, because it is I'm reminded of what I endured in those years as a child. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the work is essential, and when you're aware of that, you do the work.
So basically, in terms of your inner child work, you think you're fully aware now, like you're complete with that?
I'm still in my teenage inner child work. I still feel some rage, and not just rage as in like, like in the spiritual community we call it sacred rage, because it is sacred. I think a lot of people think being spiritual is like peace, love and light and amazing and soft and gentle. Sometimes being spiritual is, listen, the darkness, the yin and yang, you get wicked, you can't, it's polarity and balance. You can't. That's just like saying the sun is out all day every day. At some point you give like, when's the moon coming? And then the moon's out all day, you're like, where's the sun? You have to have balance.
Because I come across people and talk about positive and like, and I feel like there's toxic positivity.
Yes.
I've heard it before.
Ascension,
I used to think about it, and then someone said it and I was like, bro, like I feel like that's a fact. And
absolutely.
All that, it's like, bro, sometimes you need to tackle that dark side, you get me?
Absolutely.
You gotta dive into that darkness.
Absolutely.
Like, so when the light just be much more appreciated, innit? And so some people want to stay away from all the negative.
No, you need to do that.
So, bro,
shadow work.
Let's go there. Like, you get it? Like, let's fight that fear. So then once we're in it now, it's like, once we come out of it, it's like, we know what that's about.
Absolutely.
It's easy to avoid, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Rather than always avoiding it.
Or not even just avoid it, because avoidance is detrimental, but just maneuver through it.
Exactly. You know how to move. Because again, people positive, they get into the dark and they mash up. Can't
handle it. Yeah. And they want to blame everyone. It's everybody else except them. That's shadow work. That's what that is. Just delving into the darkness. And the darkness, again, I think these terms that people hear, shadow work, darkness, they think it's like evil, negative. And it's like, no, bro, it's just the side of you that you don't want people to see. If you know that you're outside and you're being calm and collected, and you know how you get when you wild out and you don't want people to see that, that's your shadow. Do you know what I'm saying? There's things within your shadow. You just got to think, what is a shadow? A shadow hides stuff. It keeps it hidden away. Doesn't mean it's not there, but you just keep it hidden away. Only you can see that. But you need to go into that shadow. You need to do the work, because that's a part of who you are. And to avoid it, to hide from it, essentially is almost like trying to shame yourself or deny yourself of the essential love, unconditional love that we all deserve. I think we can have and embody unconditional love for self more so than we can for others.
Facts.
Because we put in boundaries and conditions on ourselves of what we'll tolerate, what we won't tolerate, how we want to be treated, how we don't want to be treated. The last thing we would ever do is be in alignment with somebody and allow them to violate our boundaries, violate our conditions. But those conditions and boundaries we have for ourselves are unconditional, if that makes sense. So it's all about just showing up for yourself, being aware of self, and loving all aspects and parts of yourself, man. You know?
So like, that's the thing. People talk about self-love, yeah? 1 second. People talk about self-love and loving oneself and blah, blah, like, in your opinion, what's the first step, what's the first step towards self-love? Like I said, is it diet? Is it change? Is it discipline? Is it like, what's the first step in your opinion to self-love, like, in order to get there? And do you think you've got there, first of all? Huh?
I feel I'm doing my best. As much as we all can, but I would say the first step is truth. Like own it. Like, you need to be in truth, in truth of what you want, what you don't want. You have to be in truth, unconditional truth. Like, you have to be in truth. You have to really sit with yourself and be like, truthfully, I don't enjoy doing that. Truthfully, I don't enjoy eating this. Truthfully, I don't enjoy being around these people. Truthfully, just be in truth. The minute you're in truth, the love will flow. Facts. You will feel your heart, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, everything open up, because you're being honest. You're being truthful. I feel like I've been like that since a youth, though. Really? Love? I'm not gonna lie. I feel like... So you've been doing the work then? Yeah, I feel like since a youth, I've always been like, bro, like, everyone's playing with the Lego,
And just because everyone's playing with it, I don't want to play with the Lego, bro. I've always been like you. Like, I'll go over there and just play with the fuck I want to play with.
Yes,
like, yes. You get it?
Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean I want to do it.
You know, truthfully, I don't want to play the Lego,
I don't want to do that.
Like,
it's
looks
true.
cool and you like look like having fun, but I'd have more fun over there with the puzzle or whatever. Do you get?
For sure.
Like, so like, yeah, man. But so you're saying truth is the first step?
I would say for me
is
truth.
And it's definitely a lifelong journey in your
opinion. Because we're ever evolving. Who I was last month isn't who I am today. And I think as women, especially, we're shedding every month without fail. And some of us are not connected to our divine feminine and our divinity and our menses, our bleeds. And we're not honoring these cycles because we're in a culture and society that doesn't tell us that these things are important. They're like, oh, you're on your period, don't worry about it. No, it's an essential part of our being as women. Every month without fail, when we shed from our uterus, from our womb, because as women, we hold majority of our pain and trauma in our womb space. That's where we hold it because that's our portal. That's how we bring things earthside. So if we're not being taught how to honor and cherish our bodies, not even just our mind and soul, but our womb, starting with our womb space where we can release, where we're releasing every month without fail, we're not going to know essentially like who we are. We're not going to know the importance of our beings and of ourselves. So yeah, just being in tune with your divinity and just divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy. But as women, just being in tune with the consistency of evolving. We're always evolving. Every month we're different women. That's why we always change our hair, we change our nails, we change our clothes, and we're emotional creatures. And again, emotion isn't just crying. Emotion is all happiness, joy, anger, frustration, fear. These are all emotions, energy in motion. We're just embodying an energy that is moving. We have a choice what we hold on to, what we don't hold on to. But as women, we're constantly changing and evolving. So yeah, who I was last month isn't who I am this month, you know, because I'm even more in tune with self. I'm more aware of self. There's things I've shed, made space for the new things to come through that then need to be shed. Make space for the new things that need to be shed, you know? So
yeah, man, that's I like that still. That obviously I can't relate, you know what I mean? Man, I have no periods and all of that.
No, but I think it's important for men to know this as well because it helps men be able to maneuver and deal with women because again, no one really has the education or has been told the importance of how essential this is for us. You know, these are essential parts of our being as women to have space held for us. Like, I don't even think we should even be considered to work or do anything within the 5 to 7 days that we bleed because our body is shedding. Those days are solely for holding space for self, doing journaling, drinking cacao, doing a little mushroom, smoking a little weed, having baths, frolicking in the forest, or just being on the sofa watching Netflix, if that's what you want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Without judgment, because you can, because this is your time, this is your body, this is your energy, this is something that's important to you. You know, like, we live in a culture, a society, a matrix, essentially.
And the matrix.
It's a matrix, and it's a patriarchal matrix. Let alone Masonic, but it's a patriarchal, meaning it serves men. And some men don't even realize that it serves them. But the whole point of this matrix that we're in, this patriarchy, is to tear down and dismantle the divine feminine. They want us to be disconnected from ourselves.
But do you really think that though?
Absolutely, Dom.
But why?
Because the men run the world.
But why would they want women to be like not like aware and rare? Like,
because we're powerful. Without the divine feminine, men wouldn't be here.
But what's divine feminine? Because look, this is a debate you're always hearing about divine feminine and like, what? Are you a feminist?
No.
Huh?
No.
What's a feminist?
Feminist is a female who believes in the social, political equalities.
Oh, so you're not really on that side of the spectrum.
I'm not equal to a man, and a man's not equal to me. I'm a divine feminine.
Facts. So you're on more the side of femininity and like the spiritual,
divinity,
spiritual sense rather than.
Yeah, I'm more into the balance of both, divine masculine, divine feminine. I'm not about, I want to be equal to him. Never. You respectfully, you won't ever be equal to me. A man couldn't even handle childbirth, the pain of childbirth. It could kill a man. you're not built for that. You don't know what it feels like to carry a child in your body, give birth to a child, nurse that child with the milk that's grown from your body. Why would I want to be equal to a man? I respect and honor men because he's a divine masculine and all that they're about. But I don't want to be equal to you.
Facts.
I don't trust, nor do I believe necessarily that a man is supposed to lead. I think the woman leads. I think
leads
men...
what though? Here's the thing, is because again, it's saying to lead is too broad. You get it? Like, it's like, lead what? Because again, if we're talking about, you know, back in the day, to like you said, we're built different, innit? If we're talking about man has to lift up logs and that, we don't expect, there's some strong women, but more time the man's gonna lead in that type of thing, innit?
There you go, yeah.
But when you say, oh, you've believed the woman to lead, it's like, what though? You can't just say lead.
Say for instance, okay, so if you're in a household, you and a woman are in a household, she takes the lead.
In what? Oh, the household lead.
The household lead. Yeah, she takes the lead.
I agree with
she
that.
knows where everything goes. She knows meal time, dinner time. She knows if we need more wood for the fire, if that's the case, because really and truly, you know, she knows. When you step outside of that home, you lead. You know what you're doing. You're providing. You're protecting. You take the lead, initiative. He knows that he's going out to make money for the family. He knows that he's going out to ensure that certain things are in place for the family because he's taking the lead. Do you know what I'm saying? If you both leave the house at the same time, you're both leading because you're both representing what you both represent, which is your family, which is your bloodline. You know, you still honor her, protect her, show up for her, and she does the same for you. But at home, she leads. I think outside of the home, a woman leads herself. She doesn't follow a man's lead because, again, we're maneuvering through a patriarchal world with men who have no inner standing to the importance of even our menstrual cycle, our biology as women. So the last thing I'm ever going to do is listen to what a man has to tell me. Or
about what though? About
how I should be as a woman. Yeah, how I should be as a woman. And when I say that, I mean, for instance, majority of these beauty standards that you see are coined by men. These are, when you go to get surgery and get your boobs done, get your bum done, it's a man doing it. When you want to do X, Y, and Z, it's men. Who's designing the clothes? Men. Who's making sure that women are working these hours? Men, you know? And I'm not saying, not all men, and I'm not saying it to disregard men. Like I said, I honor and appreciate men. I have a son who I'm raising to be a man in this world. You know, I would just like to see men become more in tune with their spirituality, more connected to their divinity as masculines, so we can have that equilibrium of just being one, because you and me make one. We're whole.
Facts.
Without me, you wouldn't be here. Without you, I wouldn't be here. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Facts,
You know?
Yeah, because I will strongly believe, obviously, it's outer before inner. I feel like, you know, like, again, like the sperm goes into the egg is in the womb, do you get it? Like from in the egg comes out a baby, you get it? The baby grows in and then comes out, you feel me? So I feel like you're definitely right. Without each other, we wouldn't be here, but I still also feel like a woman's role is very important. Like, in my opinion, innit? Like, you get me? Like, we can't live without no woman, innit? Don't get me wrong, we could survive. Everyone could live without one another, innit? Really and truly. But again, in the long run, like, human race couldn't, get me, survive without either or. So, okay, as far as like, all right, we don't want to get too feminine and masculine, bro. There's bare them debates, like, them ones are scary, do you get it?
I don't necessarily think it's a debate. I just think it's whatever resonates with you. The importance of masculine energy and feminine energy for both. Like, you embody feminine energy and masculine energy, and I embody feminine and masculine. It's not a, masculine doesn't just mean man and feminine means woman. We embody both energies together, you know? I don't think I think the debate is people just battling their egos of how to just, it's an ego thing of how they can just try and, I don't know, sometimes people just want to be the winner. I don't know, I don't get involved, but I just know for me, I honor the masculine and the masculinity within myself as well, just as much as I honor the divine feminine of self and the divine feminine in men, you know? But I'm not gonna conform to the patriarchy of what they want a woman to be and how I should maneuver. You know, like looking at the 1950s, they'd say the woman stays at home, you cook, you clean, he goes out to work. It's like, I would have struggled to be that type of woman because I'm not trying to be at home cooking and cleaning every day. I want to be with my girls. I want to go here, there, everywhere. I want to do some shit, you know? So yeah, to conclude, I'm not a feminist at all. Not at all. I believe in the balance of both. And I'm not trying to be equal to a man, just like a man couldn't be equal to a woman.
Alright, fair enough. So listen, alright. So talk to me now about your diet. Let's move on to like.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about, first of all, like, why the diet for you is that like an important factor or important parameter in the spiritual growth journey?
Yes, it is.
So talk to me like.
So the diet change came about throughout years. I grew up eating everything because being Jamaican and Irish, we had everything. I remember Christmas times eating gammon and all the bacon and all the swine.
Fire for that.
Absolutely. And then I got to I think about 19 maybe or 19, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to eat pork. That's butters. And then I started saying like I didn't want to drink fizzy drinks.
What made you not want to eat the pork?
Consciously. Just consciously. I've just like, I don't feel comfortable eating that. Just looking at a pig and then looking at bacon thinking, I don't want to do that. And then, but where it really took the turn was when I again had my second daughter. She is the catalyst for all of this. I keep saying I'm so grateful for her. Honestly, I am grateful for all my children, but that little girl right there, honestly, and she's a Taurus as well. So when I had her and I was battling with everything I was dealing with, I was delving into all types of alternative medicines. I was being prescribed anti-anxiety, anti-depression medication, and I was so anti all of that. You know, like 2 out of my 3 kids are not even vaccinated. Like I'm anti all of that. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't want to have to put something in my body when I'm trying to get something out, and I don't feel like that man-made synthetic medicine is going to help me.
Pharmacy.
It's just going to numb me. I don't want that. I want to maneuver through this and heal myself so I can be like, I've been in the trenches and I've come out of the trenches. I don't just want to be in the trenches wrapped in cotton wool. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't want that for myself. So I delved into alternative medicines and alternatives. And then I was breastfeeding. And then again, had to go back to work. So I had to give up breastfeeding. So I'm weaning my child. I'm weaning her onto food. And I'm just trying to follow everything to the book, but also integrate things that I've learned also. So one of the things that they say is that when you take a child off the breast to give them an alternative milk, i.e. cow's milk. My daughter despised cow's milk. She never drank cow's milk. Like
naturally just didn't like it.
Just didn't like it naturally. And I remember feeling concerned because of course I'm only 23. I've had my first child at 17. Yes, I got support and help and things from everybody else, but let me just set a premise of I'm the only one in my circle of people, family, immediate family, external. I'm the only one that's like this. I'm the only one that's like, you know, questioning the matrix. I'm questioning everything, and I'm saying, well, why doesn't she want to take cow's milk if they're saying I should give her cow's milk? They're saying, oh, introduce meat to her diet. I've introduced meat. She doesn't like it. So I delved into, and that's when I discovered like Dr. Sebi. I came across another person called Dr. Malachi York. I went on a whole tangent of just delving into like African spirituality, the African diet, prior to colonialism. What my people would be eating on the island in Jamaica, like what are the essentials to us as melanated people that we need in our diet? That's where it really triggered and changed for me. So my daughter was vegetarian for first 3 years of her life, until she said that she wanted to try salmon. And I said, if you want to try it, try it. And then she tried it. And then she wanted to try chicken, cool, but dairy, she never. So my daughter having this distaste, dislike for these things that I'm being told to give her, even though I've been anti-medicine and vaccinations, even though they told me to give her that, I became more aware and conscious of what was going into our bodies. But she really was like, seeing her go through what she was going through of like not eating, and me just being like, what can I give her? I don't just want to give her rice or pasta or like, and you know, just opening up this other level of spiritualism, of diet, because this is another thing that's essential to our beings, because the body is vibrational, it's energetic. And what we put into our body contributes towards our vibration. These are the things I'm learning. So I'm becoming even more mindful. So yeah, discovered Dr. Malachi York, which that was a whole tangent. And then that brought me to Dr. Sebi. And then that brought me to other nutritionalists and other types of alternative diets. And then just delving into, it contributes towards like just recognizing the type of world matrix that we're in, and the importance of their role and purpose of why they push this on us so much. So yeah, that was a very big pivotal part of my journey. So much so that when I had my third child, I was adamant that she'd be vegan from jump, and that she would make the choice if she decided. Again, because you got to honor your children, because they have intuition, they have consciousness, they have their own spiritual path. They're connected to their own spiritual ancestors. And if they feel called to do something, I want to honor that. So what I didn't want to do was introduce meat or dairy to my youngest and then be like, oh, I'm restricting it, you know? Because with my oldest child, he struggled with food. So anytime he could eat, we wanted him to eat, you know, but he was very self-led. Anything he chose, it was on him. Wonderful. If he didn't want to eat chicken, and he went through a phase as well where he disliked chicken, he didn't want to eat meat. So I just honored them. And then that's what made me become more aware of, like, if the children are saying not to eat it, like they feel themselves, nah, mum, I don't want that. I was like, yeah, I'm delving in. So I just delved in. And then I've just been on that journey ever since. And I would say, like, I was one of those, I hold my hands up, I was one of those hardcore vegans that was like, oh, you still eat meat? Oh my God.
So was I. Well, I didn't do that. But
I was like, oh, that's a dead flesh into a living body. It does nothing for you. Are you cleansing? Are you da-da-da? You know what that does to your colon? You know, I was one of those ones. I was very much like, stay away from dairy. Like, no, like you don't need to have that. Whereas now, I'm just intuitive.
So you just let people do it. They're
absolutely. Everyone has their own journey, their own experiences. You know what I mean? And even for myself, I don't like to, I struggled with restriction. I restricted so much and was in so much avoidance of, no, I can't have it for spiritual purposes. Whereas probably physically, probably needed a little something, you know, like the kale weren't cutting it, which kale was always cutting it. But when you're just battering greens and veg for months, and then you're wondering why you feel so like depleted, you feel so whatever, and you will feel that because essentially you're rewiring your whole cellular system.
I'm telling you, I went vegan for a year. The first 3-4 months was mad. Mash up.
Yeah, you feel like shit because you're getting all the shit out, and then you're rewiring, recoding essentially your whole cellular system to be on a different vibration. So you're gonna feel like shit. Just like when you turn off a computer and you strip it of its virus and you reboot it, it's gonna take a minute to reboot. But when it comes back on, it's gonna be like, it's fresh. So you have to just give yourself grace in those moments. And I was giving myself grace, but not as much grace as I would like to have in hindsight. But again, it's all part of the journey. But yeah, I started incorporating a lot of like spirulina, moringa,
keep going.
sarsaparilla. What else? Sea moss. I remember I was making sea moss years ago, like years and years ago. I'm telling my people, yeah, you lot need sea moss, you need this, you need that. Everyone's like, what's this? Like, where'd you get this from? How'd you make this? And I was like, YouTube was my friend. Because again, I didn't necessarily trust too many things that I was seeing on social media. If my soul sisters or my soul tribe had aligned to it, so I could ask and we can converse, that's different. But I wasn't just seeing something online and just running with it. No, I was really doing the work and just really seeing like what worked for me, what didn't work for me. So yeah, where I'm at now, just intuitive. And I say that all the time. Like I notice for myself that when I'm due my menses, due my bleed, the body's getting prepared. So as we're women, the 7 days prior to the menses, we fill up with more water. We retain water, so we have water retention. So we may look like we're a bit more chubbier, but it's the water because we're getting ready for when we bleed. And I always notice that around about 5-7 days prior to my bleed, that I always crave meat hard, and I always want like red meat and greens. That's the only two things I want to eat. And I was going through years of just like nope. And then I eventually one day gave in and I was like, no, let me just try have some lamb with this kale and broccoli, and it was the best thing ever.
It was slapping.
I was like, yeah, that bangs. And now I know intuitively I was guiding myself because I was listening to my body, but I was ignoring it. I could hear it, but I was just trying to figure it out because the ego doesn't want you to do. The ego's all about want. I don't want to do that. So the ego's like, yeah, we don't want to do that, you know? But the ego's not going to bring you to a space where you can reach clarity of knowing that this is your intuitive self guiding you, you know? So the ego got in the way. And when I finally just drown out the sound of the noise of the ego, I was able to just delve into just being intuitive. And I don't eat meat religiously, but if, like I said, if I fancy it, and then, like there'll be times where I'm due my bleed and I don't crave meat, and that's wonderful. And if I do, please try know I'm gonna have that meat.
You know what's mad, that is because you know what made me last 1 year, like just plant-based. basically when because you know everyone sets like goals and that, and New Year's, blah blah blah, and they proper like, again, the ego makes you want to keep up because you don't want people to be like, bro, I thought you was
yeah.
You know, I said though from the jump, I said I'm gonna try this vegan thing. I watched the documentary What the Health, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. But the day I feel like I want to eat meat, I'm just gonna eat it. So if I feel like tomorrow I'm gonna, and I feel like that sense of like not really giving a fuck what anyone made me go for the whole year, because it was like, bro, I've already allowed myself the freedom to eat it when I want. So like when you know you can have something, it's easier to not have it, if that makes sense. Like when something's unattainable, it's like you want it, you get it. Like, yeah, so it's like, if I was telling myself, bro, like, I can't eat the meat, I would have cracked to like 3-4 months, I'm not gonna lie, because the first 4 months was crazy. But once I said to myself, brother, you're allowed to have the meat, you know, it's right there, bro, whenever you want it. Like, all right, cool, I know it's there, so now whenever I want it, and then now it's easier to, like, you get me, to avoid it or whatever. But yeah, that's important. I feel like, again, diet as well is also about, you get me, the sounds, the music, you get it, like all of that, like, you know, the talks you have with yourself, because you said, again, anything you're putting into you, and as much as people, as much as people don't like to say that music doesn't affect, it really does. That's really, that's your diet, and that's the only thing that you can't sound is the only thing you can't avoid going into, you know that, right? Like whether you like it or not, you're gonna hear shit, you get it. Like you can avoid eating stuff, you can smell almost as well, but again, you could say smell is also a bit dietary, like, you get me, like aromatherapy, that type of stuff. Some people kind of bubble off smell, but I feel like what you're listening to is like, you know, is very vital in terms of how you're gonna affect your energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you believe that,
yeah. I went through that phase as well, where I was adamant that I didn't want no rap music, gangster music, drill music played in our home. I was like, absolutely not. And these are things that I've educated my children on from jump. And then I would say when my son got into puberty, and my children would always see me, like every day I have a shower or I'm having a bath, I always have my speaker on with music. We play music in the house all day long anyway. But I became very mindful of the type of music that I was showing them. You know, I didn't want them to vibrate on a certain frequency. But then now they're at an age where I have to honor their own choices. But there's a lecture that comes with everything. I tell my son all the time, turn that music off. And he's just like, oh my God, like, I'm just trying to listen to the music. But I'm like, it's violence. They're just talking about violence. It's young black boys talking about killing young black boys, talking about being outside on a block. And this is not your reality. Turn it off. Or I say, if you choose to listen to that, get that out of the way, and then after, listen to high vibrational music, so you know that that's the vibration that you're on. Like I remember when my daughter went through a New York drill phase and was playing New York drill like every day, and it was making me feel so anxious, and we battled. You know, she's almost 11, and we was battling like we was like 20. I was like, no, you need to turn this off, and she's like, I want to listen to it, and I was like, no, you're not understanding like the vibration. And this is another thing as well, like when you have kids, is that you want to install in them everything that you know, everything that you've learned, and you want to do your best to nurture them, protect them, guide them. And I've done that to my best capacity and will continue to do that. But then there comes a time where you have to honor their own experience.
Yeah, you gotta let them go through it.
You just gotta let them go through it. So I remember when I said my daughter was going through her New York drill phase. I'm talking like K-Flock, DD Osama, I don't know if you know, but it was terrible. They're like 15, 16, drugs, guns, violence. It was terrible. But I remember every day I battled with her and said, stop. Same thing. You say, stop doing it. She wanted it even more. Whereas now she listens to like indie pop. The music she listens to now is lovely and high vibrational, you know, but she had to go through that. But this is a conversation we have in our home. And I always say to my children, they may not be listening. I say, you may not be listening, but your subconscious, this is all registering. And then as you get older and you evolve, all of this will be on your subconscious. These are the types of things that I want to install in them. Whereas in my subconscious, when I was growing up, was all negative things. Whereas with them, I'm just like, you're powerful, you're wonderful, you're fantastic, you're amazing. If you don't hear it from me, you got the cards right there. Pull a card, see a card. So I know that as much as I'm honoring their experience, I know that the gems I'm dropping subconsciously is there.
That was a good insight still, man. I'm loving your journey thus far. Like I said, like, you know, we've known each other many years. Get me, link up on occasions, whatever, and like I'm happy about that. There's no sort of funny stuff and like my girl don't call me in.
No,
like,
we got a real friendship.
Yeah, bro. Trust me, from young, you get it. And you know, like I'm happy you came through for real.
Thank you, appreciate you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Nah, come on, man. Like I said, you know. Anyway, we'll talk after that. But yeah, like it's real shit. You get me, like. But before we wrap it up, though, like, get me, just I mean, if there's any messages you want to leave to like inspire someone that might be watching, get me, even if it's one person or just, you know, and like obviously promote your stuff after that as well. But if there's anything you want to like close with type of thing, then like, you get me, close with your closing thoughts, like.
My closing thoughts.
Is your spirituality more important than your reality?
They're both just as important.
Okay. All right, go on. All right, sorry.
They're both just as important. Yeah, to be present, to be here is the reality. Okay. And your reality is what you make it. And spirituality is my guide. It's my toolbox. You know, it just holds all the tools that I need to guide me back to myself and keep me present in this realm and focused. Okay. And like I said, I'm just doing my best. I don't know everything. This is just my experience, and I say that on my podcast as well, that I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not into whether I'm right or wrong, good or bad, positive or negative. I'm just maneuvering. I'm just being. So yeah, my closing thoughts today, I would say that just remember that you are loved. Remember that you are safe. You're guided and aligned. You're exactly where you need to be. No one knows you like you know you. No one's going to do this work for you like you are going to do it. And you've been doing the work because you are where you are right now. Make good choices. Honor yourself. Honor self. Be true to self. Show up for self. Love yourself. Love yourself so hard that when you are around others, that they can't help but just love themselves too. You know? Don't be too focused on what people are not doing. Yeah. But only worry about what you're doing. You know, it's true. Love yourself so hard that when you're around others, they have no choice but to love themselves hard, however that is for them. Because I think a lot of people want to match the energy, or they want to be like, love yourself so much so you can recognize negative energy. Like, why? Why am I focusing on that? Nah, bro. I'm trying to be in a divine alignment with who I need to be in alignment with. So for me to get there, I need to be on a particular vibration, and that vibration is of love. Because love and light is essential to help you through darkness. And in the darkness and in the shadow, there's going to be a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of hurt, a lot of embarrassment, but the love and the light will guide you through that. And when you come out of it, the darkness will still be there, but you'll be familiar with it and it won't scare you. And you'll be able to sit in that darkness whenever you want. Not for too long, but you'll be able to sit in it with comfort of knowing, yeah, I've dealt through it. I know every nook and cranny up in here. There's nothing in here that can scare me. I'm ready to be in the light because this is where I choose to be. So yeah, just make good choices. Remember, love is love and life is life. And yeah,
love is love, life is life. Front page, mindful of soul. But plug your thing though.
Thank you. Yeah, plug it fully. So my handle on everything, Instagram is mindful of soul. Mindful 1L of soul, one word. My website is available on my bio in my Insta, but if you wanted to look it up, it is mindfulofsoullimited.com.
Yeah, I'll put it.
Yeah, I'm also on YouTube as well. I haven't uploaded in a minute, but I'm just doing like the meditation music videos. I'm just trying it out, trial and error. I look at that video now and I think, oh my God, but I did it myself, you know, just pushing things, just like you're not gonna get it right the first time, but at least you've tried, you know. So yeah, YouTube is Mindful of Soul. TikTok is Mindful of Soul. TikTok is, I share a lot of my cooking videos and just like,
wait, you be chefing secretly, you know?
Yeah, day-to-day stuff. So yeah, check me out. I appreciate all feedback, and yeah, it's love always.
That's Mindful of Soul. You get me, Paige, my good friend. Check out all of our work, because again, it's, you know, it's very insightful. You feel me? I feel like everybody needs somebody or people that's, you know what I mean, gonna, like you said, hold yourself and them accountable for all the mashups that they might be doing. You get it? Like, and you know, everyone's journey starts when it starts. Might start in your 50s, 60s, it don't matter, as long as you know that you've been in someone's ear, or telling someone, listen, this is this and that's that, and that's what's most important. You get me?
Yeah.
So check that out. Mindful of Soul. This was our first Let That Brew 2024. Get me, first female.
Thank you.
That was a nice chat, man.
I
Honestly,
appreciate
like,
you.
obviously,
Thank you.
you
Yeah.
could go longer, but you know, like,
Thank you.
get me, times of the essence. So yeah, man, stay tuned. Let That Brew. More episodes coming soon. Follow us everywhere as well. Let That Brew. You know what it is. You get me? Mindful of Soul. We out. Peace, 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 peace. Yeah, man, bless.